This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 11 and verse 1. A false balance is abomination to the Lord Yahweh, but a just weight is his delight. Shalom, shalom, Akim. Before I begin, I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Kakwadash. All right, double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. All right, peace and salutations unto the elect. All right, I'm the brother Gabar Ya'ala coming at you with another lesson. Okay, and today's is going to be a bit of a, more of an exhortation. Okay, more of a, to brothers who may not think that you're doing enough for the Lord. Okay, and in this, we have to say you need to have a balance. All right, there is a fine line between overworking yourself in this truth, and being over righteous. Okay, and obviously doing the work for the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Okay, so there's a lot of times where you feel like you can do more for the Lord. You can do more for the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And that's true. Okay, if the Lord didn't give us this mercy of having this balance, okay, no one would be able to work hard enough for the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. No one. Okay, no one would be able to work hard enough for the Lord. Okay, but because we're in this wicked captivity, because we're in this, wicked space, the Lord is looking for those who are going to give him effort. Ultimately, that's what matters. Okay, putting in effort for the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, and prioritizing the Lord. Okay, implementing him into your lifestyle. Does that mean that you can't do certain things outside? Of course not. Does that mean if you have a woman, you put her off? Of course not. The scriptures say, if you have a wife, seek not to be loose from her. Okay, but at the same time, you have to have a balance, and you have to make it clear that your number one priority is the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Okay. So that's why I opened up with Proverbs 11 and 1. A false balance is abomination to the Lord, Yahweh, but a just weight is Slakia. But a just weight is his delight, right? A just weight is his delight. Okay. All right. So, you have to be able to have balance in this truth. Okay, because when you're over righteous, you're gonna destroy your own self. Okay. Real quick, I'm gonna grab that. All right, and what does it mean to be over righteous? Okay, what does it mean to be over righteous? It says, Ecclesiastes chapter 7, and I'm gonna start at verse 14. In the day of prosperity, be joyful, but in the day of adversity, consider. Yahweh hath power, it's like Yahweh power also hath set the one over against the other, to the end that man should find nothing after him. All things have I seen in the days of my vanity. There is a just man that perisheth in his righteousness, and there is a wicked man that prolongeth his life in his wickedness. All right, and here's the point. Verse 16, be not righteous over much. Okay, that is a key point. You can't be over righteous. All right, and them guys out there in the IUIC, they live by the, they think that the law is going to save them. All right, is it important to keep the law? Absolutely. But we understand that we cannot keep the law 100%. Okay, the clothes you're wearing, they have to be a 100% material. In the Sabbath, you're not supposed to clean, you're not supposed to cook, you're not supposed to work, you're not supposed to start fire, Hey, but some brothers have work on Saturdays, or whenever, I'm saying that because the Sabbath is, right now um, it's from Sunday sundown to Monday sundown. Okay, so Salaki, I didn't mean to say Saturday. I meant to say Sunday. But, and that's another thing. Okay, the Sabbath, it depends on the new moon. Okay, not no Saturdays, not no Saturdays only. No, the Sabbath rotates. It could be Monday to Tuesday, and, the next month it can be Thursday to Friday. Okay, but the point is, be not righteous over much, right? Okay, because, when you're trying to be righteous over much, you're going to destroy yourself. It says, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself? Right? Okay. So, brothers, if you have a woman or, something, you like to spend time with your woman. Okay. A lot of brothers like to go on dates with a woman. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Yeah, you're going to develop some strong feelings for that woman. Okay. That's part of a balance. But at the same time, you have to understand every single day, okay, let me do the work for the Lord first. Let me do what I got to do for the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai first. And then we can go ahead and get our day. Okay. Some brothers like going to the zoo. Hey, but guess what? What do they do first? They make a video. They study for the Lord. They pray. They do what they got to do for the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Then they go out. Okay. So it says, so, if you want to go out, go ahead and, do what you got to do for the Lord first. And make sure you're moving circumspectly. Okay, obviously you don't go out in a fucking club. You don't want to go out in a club and, next thing you know, you get shot. You don't want to go to no damn birthday parties either. You don't want to, and of course if they invite you to get like a plate of food or whatnot, you take the plate of food. Okay. A lot of times they offer me food. I'll take the food, Okay. You gotta move circumspect. Don't be going to no damn clubs, bro. Okay, don't be drinking so much when you're not in your house. Okay, you shouldn't be a drunkard. All right. These things you gotta move wise. Okay, you can't be, moving like a fool. All right. It says, be not overmuch wicked, neither be thou foolish. Why shouldest thou die before thy time? Exactly. Okay. You don't want to die before your time. Okay. So, real quick. Baba Kishab, bear with me. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 6 and verse 33. But seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, of Yahweh, and his righteousness, unto all these things shall be added unto you. Right? Okay, so it's telling you put the priority to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. It says, take therefore no thought for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Right? Okay. Put your priority first, on the kingdom, on the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and the rest is gonna follow. Okay, you're gonna have days where you go out, with the brothers. You're gonna have days when you go out with your family. Okay. You're gonna have days where you go out with your woman. Okay. You're gonna have days where you want to go to the beach. Your woman wants to go to the beach. You go to the beach. You take it to the beach. There's gonna be days where you yourself want to go out somewhere. You're not wicked for going out somewhere. Okay, but at the same time, you have to move circumspectly. You have to make sure you're doing what you gotta do for the Lord, and you gotta make sure that whatever it is you're doing isn't taken away from what you have to do for the Lord. Okay? Some brothers go to school. I myself, I go to college. Okay, but I always make sure before I even study that I'm doing a video for the Lord. I haven't even studied today for any of my classes, but I'm making a video for the Lord, Yahweh Shemi Yahushai, making sure that I'm putting this priority first. Okay, every time I go out with my woman, I make sure I make a video for the Lord. I make sure I'm studying, I pray, and then we can go. That's how you should be moving. All right. And there's going to be some days where you just can't go out. And we understand this. There's going to be some days where, you wouldn't want to go out on a Saturday. You're going to have to tell her, look, baby, you got to wait till, you got to wait till later today. Okay, I got to go to camp. Or I got to do this, I got to do that. Salakia for all the coughing. But right, you got to seek the kingdom of the Lord first. And then everything will fall after. Okay, everything else will fall into place. All right, now I'm going to close out with 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 6. Well, matter of fact, verse 5. Likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves unto the elder. Yea, all of you be subject one to another, and be clothed with humility. For Yahweh resisteth the proud, and giveth grace to the humble. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of Yahweh, that he may exalt you in due time, casting all your care upon him, for he careth for you. Right? Okay, cast all your care upon the Lord, Yahweh Shemi Yahushai. If you put the Lord first, he going to put you first in that day. Because understand that we're coming into Jacob's trouble. But, there's going to be days where, you want to go out. Okay, and that's okay. A lot of brothers get a misinterpretation that you have to suffer. You must be suffering 24/7. You can't even smile. You can't, No, man, the Lord has balance. Okay, the Lord. Actually, let me grab this before I close out. All right. 1 Corinthians 7 and 31. And they that use the world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away. Right? You want to use the world. Okay, don't abuse it. Don't be like these other people. Don't be going out to clubs. Don't be going out to, no places like that now. But you want to use the world. Okay, I live in California. They got places like Disneyland. They got places like Universal Studios. Okay, you can have fun once in a while. Okay, some brothers live some brothers live over there. Florida. They got a Disney World. They have Universal World, or something along those lines. You can use the world. Okay, as long as it's not interfering with what you got to do for the Lord Yahweh Shemi Yahushai. Okay, you don't have to suffer 24/7 all day, every day. No, man, the Lord has a balance. All right, there's gonna be some days where you're suffering. There's gonna be other periods of time where you having, you're looking like, hey, I think things are going good. But then you have to expect, anytime, hey, you're gonna be tested. All right. So, that's pretty much it. Okay, Lord willing was edifying. Lord willing was uplifting, and Lord willing, to you younger brothers, that opened an eye unto you that, you don't have to be suffering 24/7. You're not gonna suffer 24/7 in this thing. Okay. But at the same time, you understand that when them suffering comes, you still apply the same logic. You're still giving praises to the Lord. You still doing your videos for the Lord when time gets tough, man. So, that's pretty much it with that. Lord willing was edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Kagurash. Double honors head out.